everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. Today we're going to start a new show and tell video, and we got some good stuff to start it off with. This is from the returns auction, a roll of 30 thou flux core welding wire. I use this stuff in my small machine. It's probably not the greatest of quality, but couldn't beat the price when it was $2 or something. I'm not gonna not buy that. Last week there was an auction at a machine shop over in Richmond Hill, Competition Automotive. I'm not sure what all was going on, if they were closing the shop or just moving out a whole bunch of stuff that had accumulated over time, because there wasn't really any equipment for sale, just a lot of car parts and old, just stuff that tends to pile up in a place like that. So we got some goodies. This is pretty cool. It's an old electric fuel pump. We'll have to see if it works. That'd be even better if it actually worked. And here we got a bunch of valve lifters. So valve lifters have been a problem recently. There's lots of problems with flat tappet cams, right? So anyway, these two sets are Chrysler Big Block, and this set here, these things are old. You won't have to worry about using these things. This set of Howard's lifters here are small block Chrysler or Big Block, because they've got the wide oil slot, so they'll work in either, and AMC Jeep. And this here is a half a set of brand new milling lifters for Chevy LS. I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do with those. And we got a couple of sets of cylinder heads. These here are Chrysler Big Block. They're mid-60s ones. They're 516 heads, which are closed chamber, small valve heads that they use on 383s, 413s, 426s, up until the 906 heads came out in 68. You can see here the small exhaust valve, closed chamber design. You can use these on a Smog engine that they would have all had open chambers. So guys used to put these on the Smog engine to boost up the compression. And you can send it to a machine shop and have the larger exhaust valves put in them. I don't know what we'll do with them, but we got them. I got this set of heads for $27. What the heck? For $27, I'll grab them. Now we've got these 340 cylinder heads. These are J heads. You'll see them, and sometimes you'll see J heads with U's on them that are U heads. What that means, I have no idea. But what's important, it doesn't mean that the heads are different. They've both got the same casting number, 3418915. That's what's important. So these are 340. We just call them J heads. These were used on 340 starting in 1970. They carried on through 71 and into 1972. They were also used on 71 and 72 360s. They're available both with 188 intake valves and 202 intake valves. The earlier ones had 202s. I've even heard stories of guys finding 71 360s with 202 J heads on them, but I've never had them. All the 71 360s I had 188s. All of them had 160 exhaust valves. And this pair of heads has probably been together since day one. We could see the date codes on them. This one here, 02, that's February 060. So that's 02 is the second, or pardon me, February the 6th, 1970. And this one here was cast on February 18th, 1970. So these two cylinder heads have probably been brothers, or sisters, I guess, since 1970. We're going to, they're just bare castings right now, but all the machine work is done on them. You can see here they've had guides put in them. The valve seats here, or the valve spring seats, have been machined too. We'll have to figure out what to do with that. I'm no machinist. They've been hot tanked. They've been bead blasted. You can see they've been resurfaced. They've had hardened exhaust seats put in, and the valve job is roughed in. Somebody has got probably at least $1,000 soaked into these heads already, and we got them for $100 at the auction. That's pretty decent. And because they're at a machine shop, I wouldn't suspect that they're cracked or anything like that, because that's the first thing that they would have checked for, and none of this work would have been done if the heads were no good. So we'll check them very carefully before we get started putting them together. Don't get me wrong, but we've got a project coming up one day. We want to make a new engine for our 70 Duster, because the one that's in it is just kind of a hodgepodge of junk. But we want to make a real proper 1970 style 340 for it. I've got these heads now. I've got a set of 9.5-to-1 Keith Black hyper-eutectic pistons. It is a 340 short block in the car now. We'll get into that when we get into it. But this was a big missing piece of the puzzle for sure. Here's a couple more things from the auction. A 1 5/16 deep impact socket. It's 3/4 drive. And something that we needed, a set of 20 lug nuts for $10. Brand new chrome acorn lug nuts for $10, 1/2 inch. These are going right to Project 8 Ball because we needed a set of lug nuts for it. That's okay. Here's some loot from the auction. We got us here an 8-foot vinyl tonneau cover, just a plain snap-down one off of something. I bought it, quite honestly, just to get the giant 8x5 piece of black vinyl, because you can use that for any number of things around here. But it's actually a pretty complete tonneau cover. So maybe if the cover is okay and I could figure out what it fits, because they're all a little bit different, right? We might be able to rehome it and get this in the hands of somebody that can actually use it. I mean, I got it for $2, so it's not a big deal if I give it away to somebody that can use it. Deb got this here birdhouse, and it's made out of oak. The damn thing is heavy. And I got this stuff here. So when you got these old cars, like this thing, these engines were made to run on leaded gasoline, and the valve seats are not hardened. And over time, if you run them on unleaded gasoline, the exhaust valves will actually start eating their way into the cylinder heads. This happened to the 68 302 in my dad's F100. After, I don't know, I think it didn't happen overnight. He probably put 30 or 40,000 miles on it. But then one day it just started running worse and worse and worse and worse till it finally just wouldn't run at all. And we pulled the heads off and found what had happened is the exhaust valves had burrowed themselves so far into the heads, the valve lifters couldn't make up the difference. They couldn't collapse anymore, basically. And the exhaust valves were kind of hanging up, and it was costing him compression, right? So it's got an 80s 302 roller motor in it now. It's got hardened exhaust seats. So one way around that was companies like CleanFlow came up with this lead supplement that you could pour in your unleaded gas, and it would, I don't know if it's as good as the actual lead that used to be in the gas, but it gives them a fighting chance, and buys them a little bit of time before you have to take the engine apart and have a machinist put hardened valve seats in. So at this auction, there was 2 full cases of 12 of this stuff and 10 loose ones. Well, we got it all. So I've got basically 34 jugs of this stuff. And over the summer, maybe I'll run 2 tanks of gas through the old cars. And the only ones I've really got around here that are in this category are my Galaxy, because it's got the old FE engine in it, right? And the 69 Dart with the 340 in that. My Duster has newer heads on it that have got hardened seats. And most of the other things, My Valiant, the 71 Valiant, I've already had the hardened seats put in it. So there's basically just two things around here. And I have to do a bit of research. And some of my tractors, I'm not sure about the Continental engine and the standard engines in the Fergusons, if they've got hardened valve seats or not. They're more of an industrial engine, kind of. So they may have them already. Anyway, blah, 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 right? And this stuff came with a bunch of 2-stroke oil and some diesel fuel conditioner and a half a quart of good old-fashioned straight 30 Briggs & Stratton lawnmower oil. And we got, this was a lot. Deb got this. It's a mosquito net for patio umbrella and a light. Kind of a strange couple of things to put together, but hey, that's what they decided to do. Here's another good load of loot from the junkyard. We've got here for Project 8 Ball. We finally found a gas tank. I was in the old school junkyard and they had a school bus full of old gas tanks, and I went in there and there was a couple of Ford tanks. There was 2 of them in there. This was the better one, so I grabbed it and I got a pair of the sill plates for the edge of the carpet. I couldn't remember if the ones in our car were good or not. They were just sitting there, so I grabbed them. We even got some tractor stuff here. Look, we got a grill for a grill for a 9N and an air intake pipe. Always looking for those. 3 headlights, some Ford and Chrysler ignition boxes, a couple of Chrysler voltage regulators. This goes with this stuff. Some Chrysler clutch linkage bits. This is a bell housing for a small block Ford with 2 different separator plates. I'm not sure which is the right one. I think this is the right one, probably for the manual transmission, and that one's for an automatic. I got this. We've got a Dodge Project truck, a Dodge truck project, I should say. And this is the boot for the transfer case shifter. Hard to find anymore, but we found one. There was a transfer case in the back of a truck full of transfer cases, and that boot was still sitting on the shifter. Huh. This here is the neutral switch and the shift shaft and everything for a column shifted C6 Ford transmission. I've got a little project I want to try and use that for. And then this is the coolest thing we got. I found in a truck full of old engines a Ford FT, which is basically the truck version of an FE. So it's a 391, not a 390. An FT 391 engine. And it actually had a Carter AVS carb on it instead of a Ford always would usually use an Autolite carburetor or a Holley carburetor. But this is, it's not something that's been swapped on. You can see here it's got the Ford kick down, the ball stud for a Ford throttle cable, the Ford style electric choke. It's for a Ford. That is a very cool piece. And I got this too. 4-speed shifter knob off an SR4 transmission. We might be able to make use of that on a future project. Here's some stuff from the auction. I got this mini 1/4-inch die grinder, like such a tiny little one. I like it. I got some 1/4-inch hitch pins. We use those on the trailer couplers, and I'm always losing them. And some super long chisels. Power Fist, Princess Auto, so you know they're good. Today we went to the, sorry, I got my neighbor's dog over here. She comes to visit me once in a while. This is Belle. She's a good girl. We've been to the Motor City Car Club. They're from Oshawa. They have it every year. The first Sunday in December, they have a swap meet at the International Center in Toronto. So Deb and me went there this morning and wandered around a little bit. I only got 2 things. I got this. This is interesting. It goes in your trailer hitch, right? Now, she's back. Most of the time you see these things that go in the trailer hitch and they're like that, right? Well, this one goes like that. I thought, for $10 we'll give it a whirl. And I got this, $40, but it did come with a nice milk crate. A 9-inch center section, 325 one-wheel peel. It's your standard C4AW case, just a standard 9-inch case. You can see here it doesn't have the the pinion snubber thing on here, so it's probably out of a pickup truck. No worries. Hey, for 40 bucks, how could I say no? I could sell it again, get my 40 bucks back. Here's some more stuff from the returns auction. This is some kind of welder's plier. Not sure exactly what it does, but I have an idea of something I want to make out of it. This here, it says shifter shaft extension. I think it's for a big truck, but I just saw a nice piece of steel that I could machine, you know. On my, you know, sometimes you're making something on the lathe and you need a piece of metal, so that's just a piece of stock. Look at these extra long bits for the air hammer. That's a handy thing to have. This here is an extension, a 1/2-inch impact extension, but it's got this this rotating handle on it, so you can hold the thing while you're running the gun. And you can see here, it's adjustable, right? You pull this collar back and you can slide it down, and it goes into these different grooves. Kind of a neat little thing. This here is a bit for an electric rotary hammer or rotary drill. I have one, so I'm not quite sure what this does, but it looks pretty violent. This here, a whole lot of hockey pucks. We use these for all kinds of things around here, the least of which is actually playing hockey. But they're just handy as hell. You can make machine feet out of them. You can make motor mount inserts. You could do so many things with hockey pucks. They're really high quality polyurethane is what they're made out of. And here's some more balance beads for the tires. I don't know. That's my new thing. The ones we made for Project 8 Ball seem to work okay, so we'll try some balance beads and some other tires and see what happens. Here's some auction loot. This here is a bed extender for a Ram pickup, a 4th gen Ram with the Ram box option. You can see here it opens up like that. Now, I'm not sure. I wasn't quite sure how they hook to the box of the truck, because that's about the right width for a step-side truck, right? So I was curious if I may be able to use this in my step-side truck. But it's over in the barn and it's snowing like crazy out right now, so that's a job for another day. The only thing I never realized about these is they actually lock, so without the actual key from whatever truck it came from, you won't be able to lock the thing, but at least we have it. Here's a couple of toolboxes I got at the auction for $5 each, because I need them to put stuff in. They've both got their issues. This one seems to have a broken latch, and this one, the handles broke off, but they did a nice job putting a cleat on there, so that's fine. And the thing is, they're both full of stuff. So, I don't know if there's anything good. Oh, there's my bill. Oh, look at these high quality wrenches. Well, that's a gray. That's a decent wrench. Okay, so this one's completely full of wrenches. What's in the bottom of this one? Nice set of Mastercraft screwdrivers. Oh, and this one's all full of screwdrivers. So that's okay. If anything, we've got some loot we can send back to the auction in the spring. And, you know, still get to keep our toolboxes. So here's all the inch ones that were in there. Not bad. These are all the inch wrenches that were in there. And these are all the metric ones. Wonder if I can put any decent sets together. I think I got a bunch of other wrenches in my miscellaneous wrench department. Let's check that out. That's a lot of spare wrenches. Let's see if we can put anything together here. Well, there's an almost complete set of Craftsman wrenches. We'll be keeping those. That's not a Craftsman. I thought I had a 3/8 Craftsman. Maybe I don't. That looks very similar to one though. I think I'll take this gray instead. Oh, that's 7/16. Not gray, 3/8. And I will take, do I have any 5/16 wrenches? Yeah, I've got a gray. And I'll take a 1/4 in Craftsman. And I need a nice 1/2 inch wrench, because that's one that's also missing. That's a gray. Okay, now I'm going to make just kind of a set of junkyard wrenches. I'm just going to pick the best one of every size and we'll see what we come up with. So here's what I got so far. An almost complete set of Craftsman wrenches. These are great wrenches. I like these. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of wrenches kind of bundled together to send back to the auction. I've got this partial set of quick wrenches. See, they've got that unique shape, so you can go like that with them. It's kind of like a ratchet wrench, but an open end. And then the rest of these, we'll just put in our spare toolbox. So this entire thing is all flathead screwdrivers or slot screwdrivers. So I'm going to go through it. I might grab a couple of them, but quite frankly, 99% of them are just going to whoop straight back to the old auction. I got what I wanted. I saw a couple. I like these ones. These are good for carburetors because they got that nice slender tip on them and you can get a hold of them, you know. I'm going to keep that one. And well, that one because it matches it. I might have a couple more of that kind up there. Too bad there's none of the old two-tone yellow fullers. I love those. Oh, decisions. That one's been busted off and ground. And then over here, I've got each of these sets. So I'm going to take that one, and this one, because they match sets that I've actually got. So we'll keep those. I kind of like that one too. And these tiny, tiny ones, I think there's a set of those in the box over there. Let me go check. So there we go. That's what I needed that for. The straps for the trailer. I keep a set in each truck. And the ones in the dually were just in a cardboard box, which is now full of crappy old screwdrivers to go to the auction. So it all worked out. I'm not sure how long this is going to last with only one latch, but we can see. I'll see if I can figure out something to do on that side, or just use it till it finally completely craps out, and we'll start using the other one. Now get a load of this thing. I got this old school bumper jack at the auction for $5. How can you say no to that for $5? And it came with this super sketchy looking homemade stand. I think that's good enough for holding up a trailer or something, you know. I don't think I'd be putting a car on it. But anyway, what we got to do is figure out if this thing even works. Well, figure out how it works first, and then we'll figure out, I guess, if it works at that point. These are how they used to lift cars. This would have been like in a small service station maybe, or in a even a private, you know, a person like a car owner would have something like this for lifting up the car. We didn't have these kind of trolley jacks back then. The trolley jacks they had were like huge monsters for lifting big trucks and stuff. And back then the cars all had big sturdy chrome bumpers on. You just lift them up by that. It locked. It was jack and stand kind of all in one, you know. If you go into a spring shop or a dealership or a bigger garage, they'd have these things, but they'd be even bigger, and they were pneumatic. So they would just hook up an air hose to it, open up a valve, and the car would just go up, right? But anyway, I'm going to see if I can figure out what this thing does, if it does anything, and we'll go from there. Well, I managed to get the thing to go all the way up. So now we'll let it down and see if we can squeeze any air out of it, and try it again. It'd probably go down faster if it had a 37 Packard sitting on it. And I noticed there's a lot of farmer cotter pins on this thing, nails. So we'll change those out. So we'll let it go right down, and then I'll try jacking it up again. And for a while I was pumping it up, I was standing on it to make sure it would, actually lift weight, and it does. There, I did hear some kind of air squishy noises, so let's see what happens now. Yeah, see now, right off the bat, it starts. So we've gotten all the air out of the cylinder, I think. So I'm gonna take it right up again and let it down again. It's going up better too. There was times when I was barely getting like a 1/16 of an inch per stroke, It's not a fast thing, but it's pretty cool. So you can feel, yeah, it's lifting the weight. This is here probably all worn out. Like if I was to take this thing apart and fix all the bushings and everything in this control, you could because the first half of the downstroke down to there, it's not moving any oil. So that's definitely something we could work on. But this thing would be great, like not for lifting cars, but if you're putting a door on and off a car or something, this would be great for lifting up a door. Or even holding a bumper up. When you're putting a bumper on a car, it'd be good for that. For $5, I figure we won. Perfect. We'll call that a victory. Here's some good stuff from the return auction. This is one of these LED, I don't know what you call it, a blade light or whatever. You screw that in, and these things, you can point them whichever way you need to point them. And I've already plugged it in and tried it. It works really well. A lot of light comes out of this thing. That's pretty cool. I got this roll of 1/8 thick neoprene. This is really handy, screwing around with cars or stuff in the shop, whatever. Sometimes you got to make little gaskets or little spacers or whatever. This stuff is handy to have around. This here is a brand new Camco. They call it a swivel stick. It's for cleaning the inside of the waste tanks in an RV. Handy thing to have, lets you reach in there and get them all cleaned up. Well, that was a pretty good show and tell. I don't know where all this stuff keeps coming from, but it keeps coming, so I'll keep showing it to you. Anyway, I'd like to thank you, as always, for tuning into the Claremont Classic Garage. I hope you'll come back and see us again next time. And until then, I'm Kevin saying so long for now.